Catnip, Cameraman, and Yeesh. All right, let's get this started. I am going to bring in the old picture of the standings from the forum so that we can see what we're talking about here. And yeah, just make it a little bit smaller. Let's go put it right here. Nah. God, I should have prepared this ahead of time, but I didn't because I'm bad. Okay. Let's talk about, do you guys want to go from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom?
I guess from bottom to the top would be more
dramatic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta build up the hype.
Yeah, I gotta build up that hype.
Minds think alike.
Alright, so Challenger Division. Challenger Division is a tough division to predict because with a very few exceptions, I don't really know a lot of the players in Challenger Division. And the same thing is true of most folks, I would assume. I do know some of these players, at least by reputation. So I know Papers, I know Steph, I know Trevor. I believe I have played Epigiant Divine when I have not. I think I played Steph as well. I don't remember. I know of Evil Snake. Evil Snake is Elvis Snake's wife. Moth I know of course. He's from the speedrunning community that frequents SpyParty. G-Man Sang I know of, although I don't really know anything about him as a player, him or her, as the case may be. And Malix McBlatt I also do not know of, although I know of him or her as well. Have I played you, Moth? I'm sure I have. You have to, like, I'm going to sound super pretentious, but when you play so many games, it's hard to remember who you've played against. No, but seriously, I'm sure I have. I think I've played at least half the people on this list. So thoughts I have about these players, and y'all can feel free to chime in. Probably the most frequently known ones to me in terms of I know they've been active recently are going to be Steph and Moth. I know Steph and Moth have been watching a lot of streams recently. I know they're pretty frequently involved with SpyParty stuff. So Steph and Moth I know at least are playing games. Moth in particular has been playing a lot of games. So those two I have reason to believe would be well prepared. I know Epigiant Divine's been playing SpyParty for a long time, just not at a very fast clip of games. So they've got some experience. Alex McBlatt, G-Man Sang, both active recently, I know of, as is Paper. Trevor's been around for a while too. Evil Snake is Elvis Snake's wife, so she might have some preparation there. The only names on here that I really... the only person who's a complete mystery to me is Tubby Custard. I have no idea who Tubby Custard is. I don't think I've ever seen Tubby Custard in the lobby, nor have I ever talked to Tubby Custard that I know of. So that's Challenger Division. It's just a big mess, and I have no idea what's honestly going to happen. We'll get to my actual prediction. But yeah.
I think, at least in my mind, anything from copper and below is
just totally
very
random,
lowly predictable.
Yeah,
has low levels of predictability.
I would tend to concur with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with this. SCL Season 1 was the season of upsets, and I think the lower two divisions are just going to continue that.
I think that's entirely possible. So one of the things that's interesting, well, this isn't in Challenger Division. In Challenger Division, everyone's basically got under 1,000 games, I believe. I think, in fact, in most cases, it's under 500 games as well.
A couple of the players might now have 1,000 or a bit more.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. But another thing about Moth is that, if I'm not mistaken, he had another account before. So if you combine those games, he might definitely have well over 1,000, and he's definitely more experienced than it seems from his number of games played.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot has changed since we seeded the divisions and to now. So people have played more games. They've gotten more experience in some cases.
I've
and
two of the players, yeah.
we haven't talked about too much. Tubby Custard and Malik's MC Blatt. I played them when I was newer, maybe like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And they were pretty strong. I mean, they had like I don't know how many games, maybe like 400 games, and they were performing well. So I don't know. I haven't seen them after that.
Yeah, it's hard to call in some cases. Yeah, it's hard to call.
It's just, and this game could be so random too, with upsets or just making one simple mistake can lose you a whole map. And there's not too many maps for the SCL in general, so one mistake could be pretty fatal.
That's very true. One of the things that's interesting about Challenger too is that it used to be that a new player would be pretty predictably, I mean, to put it rudely, bad. In the old days before replays, like someone with even a little bit of experience, like even with like 100, 500 games experience, could beat someone with 200 games experience just reliably, because they hadn't learned all the little tricks about SpyParty that you can learn now very quickly through the use of replays and through the use of spectation. So it, like, newer players now are actually very, very strong compared to where they used to be strength-wise. Like, people used to be, again, like, you'd have 100 games, like, someone like me could beat you literally every time. And it'd be on, like, stupid stuff, like, you know, pathing or whatever. But now a lot of that's just completely different. And someone with 200 games is absolutely a threat to, you know, even people in Diamond Division. So it makes it tough to predict.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And you mentioned, you know, through the use of replays, through use of spectation, especially now spectation as a sniper seems to be very useful leveling up skill, which is not reflected by your games played. And also, let's not forget the whole community streaming and not perhaps direct, like, casting and streaming and explaining everything.
Yes. And we had streams before too. Like, I mean, Drawn Onward used to stream every night at midnight, like literally SpyParty every single night, 30 games, rain or shine. And that was the way that a lot of people learned the game, including myself, I should add. And I suppose I qualify as a grizzled veteran at this point. So we always had streams, but I've like, and streams definitely help. I just think replays and spectation. I think Checker deserves a lot of credit for that, because it's really boosted the you know, the quality of the learning available to new people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think both of those have really like decreased the skill stages.
Yeah.
Like, you can now get better faster.
Yeah,
I mean,
concur.
When you play a better player, and you didn't have spectation or replays, I would assume it just went like, you did something weird at around this time. Like, you can show them at the log, but you have no proof.
Yeah.
It's just replays. You can pinpoint mistakes that you're actually making.
Exactly.
And
I think a
then
lot of improvement.
Try to practice and change that.
Yeah. I think a lot of improvement in the old days would be... It depended on whether or not you were playing an experienced player. Number one, a talkative, experienced player who would be able to explain to you what you were doing wrong. And three, things they would notice that you were doing wrong, which usually is things you're doing as spy that you screwed up on, so they shot you. So, like, the things you'd learn the fastest would be, like, you know, don't ignore Toby, you know, don't stop outside of a pad, you know, things like that.
Don't cut animation.
Exactly, yeah, those million little spy things that you do.
And those, you still forget most of them when you actually play.
I think, too, that it was a lot harder to improve as sniper for the same reason, because it's harder to point out what you're doing wrong as sniper. You know, you can point out things like, you know, you should get lowlights off of DA, and things like that, but it's hard to teach, like, really, really good sniper play. All right, let's...
Shoot the guy. Shoot the spy.
Shoot the spy is what Wodar would say, yes, and that just works. Just do that. So let's get into predictions. I'm going to give you my list. And again, here I'm far less confident about my predictions because I have no idea. This could literally shake out, I think, in any way whatsoever. So if you're low on this list, don't take it personally. This is mostly due to my ignorance rather than actually me knowing anything. I'm going to put Tubby at the bottom just because I know literally nothing about Tubby. Tubby's going to be at the bottom list for me.
Or actually do take it personally. And
yeah, do take it personally. Use it as fuel. That's right. Come get me in Diamond in a few seasons. You know, like, or I'll probably have fallen lower by then. But you know, you're gonna like climb that ladder. You're going to face off, and you're going to go, who's at the bottom of Challenger now, Kaylee? And it'll be awesome. And then SpyParty will truly be esports. Next up after that, I'm going to put... Go ahead. Sorry, I'm typing.
I was going to say the person with 0-0 games beats Kaylee. Easy wins, easy life.
I have lost games to 0-0. I have literally been the first game people played of SpyParty, and I lost, and they won. And I didn't pull punches or anything like that. So
Another thing about very new players or the ones with least experience is that their logic is a bit different than of those who are experienced a lot, especially if they don't actually watch the streams. But even if they do, their logic of, what is a good briefcase, what is a good bounce, what is a good pathing or animation, like was it a cut or not a cut, or just the whole flow of animation. Their logic about that is very different, and it might throw off, and they might see it very differently. Even now, I mean, when I play against Moss, I just highlight him for a weird pathing or a weird briefcase, and he's like, why did you do that? That was a perfect briefcase.
yeah, a lot of those little AI things are very different and very tough to deal with, when you're new. All right, so these are my predictions. I believe Papers and Epigine Divine will be your two Challenger finalists, and I have Papers beating Epigine Divine narrowly in the finals. I have Moth winning the consolation match in the Challenger tournament against Evil Snake, and I then have Moth going on to win the Iron third place against the Iron fourth place finisher, rather, to earn promotion to Iron next season. All right, who wants to go next?
Honestly, I can't disagree with
predictions.
that list.
I mean, you can't disagree or agree with any of these lists, to be sure. So you want me to just throw you in as well as subscribing to this list?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
right.
I don't want to try to because it'll just be wrong. But I mean, this
I'm
seems
gonna
like
be
a
wrong.
decent enough list.
I would bet against this list. I just don't know how it's going to be wrong. Is the thing.
Well, for
Yeah.
me, making predictions for Challenger Division were challenging, pun intended.
Exactly.
But basically, I put Moss as first place, and then I really don't have any idea, except that I suspect that Steph might be, if not a full dark horse, so then at least like a half of dark horse.
Gotcha. So you think she'll do really well?
I wouldn't be too much surprised if she did.
I wouldn't be either. I mean, I have her finishing 5th, but that could very easily be an understatement or an underestimation.
And especially since earlier we talked about, I guess we'll come to her later, that too, she's been to Hummus School of SpyParty, let's put it like that.
Yep.
So Steph is also one of those people who are regularly watching Hummus' streams and Hummus playing against Toon and Hummus playing against Bacon and all that.
Yes, and
So
she's
definitely might
seeing
have
at least,
experience needed as well.
and she's even playing against a lot of experienced players as well. So I don't know. I'll be really interested to see how Evil Snake does. That's kind of one of my more intriguing storylines, because this is a player who, if she wants it, presumably has direct access to tutoring from Elvis Snake, who is he gold this year?
No, silver, top of
this year.
silver.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just got demoted. Yeah, that's really what's interesting. I don't know if Elvis really is like gonna teach her straight up, like how to play the game.
Yeah.
Or if he's just trying to try to let her just find the reins herself. And either way is probably fine. I mean, mentoring is great, and all that. I just don't know what
whether that'll translate into wins. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Ish, what do you got?
I noticed.
Yeah, sorry.
All right,
go ahead, Kevin.
so
Also, I noticed that Evil Snake hasn't played that many games,
That's
unless
true.
I'm mistaken. So, even if Elvis is mentoring her, playing games is what actually gets you the most experience.
Yeah, I agree. At some point,
I
you
would
can't
believe.
really watch streams anymore, or even get direct tutoring anymore. You have to get in there. I mean, there are some things that you can only get the hang of, like
I mean,
pathing
you
practice,
can,
for
but
instance.
it's still not the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Yeesh. Hit me with your predictions.
all right. So I had a couple upsets here. I think Steph's gonna win
Steph.
Challenger, just straight up. Yep.
So
Steph's gonna
Steph
win.
being predicted 1, 2, and 1, 1, 2, and 5 by by the panel today here. So, Steph, expectations are high. No, we're just kidding. Okay, go ahead. Who's number 2?
Papers is number 2.
Yeah, Papers are pretty
Papers
consistent
is
side pick.
Paper is good. He's consistent. I had Elvis Evil Sneak at 3, but inconsistent again.
Yep.
I don't really know. Depends.
Keep going.
4 is Moth.
Moth, yep. Everyone thinks Moth's going to do pretty well.
5, Malix MC Black.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to do decent. Then last players I know nothing about. So Trevor, all of them, I have no idea. So
Trevor, Aberdeen Divine, etc., you don't know anything about.
Yeah. I know nothing about them, so I don't want to make any judgments about them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of just randoed it, even though there were some players I didn't know anything about. All right, so players to look for according to the panel and Challenger. We want to look at Steph. We want to look at Papers. We want to look at Moth. Evil Snake, pretty clearly a top pick as well. I wouldn't sleep on Malix McBlad either. I wouldn't sleep on him. All right, let's go on to somewhere where it's a little bit easier to keep track of things, and that
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And we are on to Iron. Iron is composed entirely of new players. There are no returning players in either Challenger or in Iron, for that matter. The first division where we have players who were here in last season is Copper. So it's an interesting division. We have 5 people who are basically relatively new to the game, and then we have Moriarty. So the division is Unseen. I go Unseen's in there. Oak is gone because it's not a metal. I guess Diamond technically isn't a metal either, but yeah, Iron now. We've got I Go Unseen. We've got EXE Champ. We've got Nanthalus. We've got I keep pronouncing it as Havard, but I don't know if that's correct. HAVRD. And we've got Pro Gaming with Ed. So yeah, we're heavy with Ritzmitzers indeed in this division. The king of Ritzmitzers is up higher this season in Silver Division. We got a bunch of these guys who are really strong and relatively new, and we've got Moriarty. Now, ordinarily, I would say that Moriarty would be the overwhelming favorite. If you don't know about Moriarty, Moriarty was playing this game long before I started playing it. So he's got a lot of time in the beta. His game count isn't super high for someone who's been playing that long, but he definitely has way more experience than any other one person in the division. But this is a familiar story, right, from last season. Ultra veteran goes in amongst the newbies. Not newbies, but, relative newbies. And everyone expects him to kill, and then he just doesn't. It happened to Titleist last season. It happened to Wodar last season. Where these new people came in, and they didn't wipe the floor with either Titleist or Wodar, but neither Titleist nor Wodar got into the top 2 of their division last year, and that's what matters. So the real question is, are people like Ed, like Nanthalus, like Unseen, going to be able to take down Moriarty, or is he going to run through the division? My answer to that question, go ahead, Kevin.
I think it's quite natural to underestimate the new people, and even though it might sound quite harsh, it's no hard feelings in underestimating them. But then, on the other hand, we shouldn't be surprised if they do that well, or even be the more experienced. So, either case is very possible and very likely to happen because of the. They have a different mindset, and you don't know them. So when you, for example, when you played against me, you had no idea how I'm playing.
That's
you
correct.
had no idea what's my style, what do I do, what anything. And that might throw people off, or if not throw them off, well, definitely at least not give them enough time to get accustomed to it and to make proper strats.
That's very true. Moriarty might be a little less vulnerable to that because he hasn't. So this is a blessing and a curse. He hasn't been playing a lot recently, so he's maybe able to come at these new people a little bit more fresh. Like when someone like me or Bacon or KCM plays, someone who they've never played before, but who is relatively strong, has maybe 1,000 games. We're at a relative disadvantage, I would say, than we otherwise would be because we're used to playing. A certain kind of diamond meta or whatever you want to call it, and we can and we will absolutely lose games to people who we're not familiar with, who we don't know. Like when I play against KCM, I know how to approach that match, more or less, or especially if I play against Scientists, I know how to approach that match. But if I play against like you, for instance, Catnip, or for that matter, Nanthalus or Pro Gaming or any of these folks. I'm clueless, and they will probably have a lot more information about how I play the game than about how I will have information about how they play the game.
And you probably also look for different things.
Yes.
Like, and I guess for newer players, it's for example, when I played against Bloom and he shot me for this thing or another thing, and in most of the cases he told me what he shot me for, I remember that. And I mean, I remember it much better and much stronger than I would remember, a player of equal level of mine, saying, "Oh, I shot you for an animation cut." And that's what, at least there are a couple of things that I got shot by Bloom for, and I'm looking for those because I know that if I can spot them, they're great tells to shoot people.
Concur. All right, predictions. Eventually, we got to boil it down. Not everyone indeed can win, so let's see what I think. I have, in the end, Moriarty coming through as your champion. I think he does really well. Moriarty hasn't been playing a ton recently, but I have played him before. He's got a lot of really strong, just like kind of natural talent for the game. I think that will see him through Iron. I think he loses games. I think he'll drop some games here and there, but I think he will also have a lot of wins. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of cutting against the season 1 grain of the newbies are going to give it to you, but I'm gonna go with the fact that I know Moriarty is ultra strong, and is probably underrated in Iron. I think. Here's the real interesting question: is who's going to be number 2? Number 2, I have Ed. I have Ed going as the number 2. I think Ed. Man, it's a tough call between Ed and the person I have finishing number 3 because I know both of them are very strong. And Havard and EXE Champ are probably the ones that I know the least about here. But I'm going with Ed number 2. I go Unseen. I have finishing number 3, just barely. I think it'll be a tough fight between Ed and Unseen to get into the top 2 in the division. Number 4, I have Havard, or Have, as he has asked to be called in chat. Number 5, Nanthalus. And number 6, EXE Champ. The toughest call here, the person that the prediction that can most bite me about here is Nanthalus. I think Nanthalus is the most likely to drastically outperform my expectations. But yeah, these are my own predictions. Moriarty first. Pro Gaming with Ed second. Do I think he'll be promoted? I'm not sure. It depends on who finishes in Copper. Unseen third, Havard fourth, Nanthalus fifth, and EXE Champ sixth. Who wants to go next?
I will.
I have a lot of the same insight as you.
Let's go ahead and have.
It's not.
Okay, we'll have you go. Then okay, we can go.
Yeah, most of my predictions are the same. I still think Moriarty's gonna win.
Yeah.
He's strong. Played him. He's a beast.
He is a super beast.
Just an overall strong. Yep, he's real strong. Not easy at all. And I think I don't know if he'll wipe the floor. As I said, as we were saying, new players upsets always can happen, but Moriarty's just strong. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
All right, but that's kind of that's where things get easy. Now is where things get hard. Who is your number 2 finisher?
I said I go Unseen.
Unseen. I would say that's entirely plausible. Number 3.
I have Nanthalus.
Nanthalus number 3.
I still have Havard at 4.
Havard at 4.
And then I had Pro Gaming and XC Champ. I don't know about either of those players, so I kind of put them at the bottom. So
yeah, I think
underrated them.
I think EXE Champ is getting the negative vibe of no one really knows about EXE Champ, and so ignorance kind of breeds well, we don't really know, so we're going to put you at the bottom. So he could very much do a lot better than that. I think we'd all say.
Absolutely. All right, those are my picks.
All right, that's them's Yisha's picks. Let's get cameraman going in on this.
All right, I think that the same thing that happened last season is going to happen this season, and that the experience is going to be upset.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to go with Unseen as first.
Okay.
Then Moriarty is second. Then I'm going to go Havard is third, then Nanthalus, then Ed, then EXE Champ.
For Havard, for Nanthalus, 5 Pro Gaming?
Yes,
Okay.
and 6 EXE Champ.
Gotcha.
EXE Champ, he's going to be at the bottom. No one knows him.
No one knows him, so we're all just kind of dropping him to the bottom of our lists.
It's natural, underestimated. He can hopefully perform.
Yeah, I think probably he'll actually finish better. I just have a hard time justifying who I think is going to do worse. You know, like I have reason to believe that like most of these people will do pretty well. EXE Champ, I just don't know. I just don't know.
I think either way, Challenger and Iron are going to be close. Like, I'm going to put a lot of ties in it to be, maybe even go to tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that we'll have a lot of very close fights, especially at the top of Iron Division. I think even if Moriarty does win, I think Moriarty is going to have a close fight on his hands. All right, let's go to Catnip. Catnip, share with us your wisdom.
Well, I'm almost passing on this one because I really have no idea.
Yeah.
I have played Ego and Seen a few times, but just a few times. I have played Havard in, like, I don't know, 4 games or something. So I would probably say that I think Ego and Seen will do quite well.
Okay.
And I think Havard might do better than everyone would give him credit for.
Yeah.
And other than that, I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough division to call. I mean, there's just a lot of people that not everyone's familiar with, and like even then, the people we are familiar with, they seem to be at all pretty similar skill level. So anything could happen in Iron. I think it's an interesting division. We got a lot of new faces, and I'm kind of excited to see who goes where. All right.
I'm definitely very excited and very curious to see both Iron and Challengers matches because I think that's going to be wild cards regarding expectations.
I concur. So I think overall, we think the people to look for. Number one, Moriarty is obviously, I think, except for, I mean, we've got Camera thinks he's number 2 pick. Catnip thinks that maybe he won't finish first. But everyone thinks that Moriarty is definitely a big threat in Iron to win it. Unseen generally is near the top of lists. I have Havard finishing 4th, as does Yeesh, and that's where that's the lowest he's ranked. Everyone else has him at like 3 or 2. I tend to think Pro Gaming with that is going to do really well. Other people seem to have him ranked pretty low. But based on what I know about Ed, I think he's pretty strong SpyParty wise, so we will see. Nanthalus is about the middle of the pack in everyone's predictions, and EXE Champ seems to be near the bottom. Everyone's just because we're not really that familiar with him. So yeah, that's Iron. Let's move on to Copper. Copper is an interesting division. We have
That's the most interesting division.
Yeah. Copper is a super interesting division in part because we've got 2 people in the TeamSpeak call right now who are in Copper, so that should be a lot of fun.
Time for the trash talk.
Time for the trash talk. Yeah, that's right. So the 2 people who are in Copper who are in the call are Catnip and Yeesh. The other 4 members of Copper, we've got 3 people who are new to SCL this season. Falcon Hit and Forgotten Tune are 2 of them. The other one is Pawn Noob, who was voted up to Copper. He was a placement player who Copper elected to keep him. So he was voted into Copper by Copper. And then the final member of Copper is Brad, who is returning from last season of SCL, where he was in...
Voted not by a consensus, I might add.
That's correct. It was a close vote in Copper. He was almost promoted up to Bronze. But he was kept in Copper in the end. And Brad is the final member. He was in Copper last division. Finished, I believe, in last after losing to RJW. In the Hazard match, got demoted down to Oak, but then re-promoted as part of restructuring, and that is Copper Division. So this is a very interesting division. So this is a lot like Iron in that there are a ton of players in here that are new to SCL, and that we know a lot about, but we are not exactly... These players have never faced each other in competitive. We don't know a lot about how these players are going to perform against each other, under the bright lights, so to speak. And I think the wild card is going to be Brad, too. Like, Brad did not have a good season last season. Finished at the bottom of Copper. Couldn't really get anything going.
Well, I would pose the statement that we haven't played each other
Yeah.
at all, and especially in competitive. I mean, me, Falcon, and Ish were all in wildcards. Then also I have played Toon, well, not much, but I would say quite a bit. I would think Ish has 2.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would know more than I would about
Yeah.
who you think's going to be better or worse in those situations. I'm just going based on purely. I mean, I've played a few of you, and I just have really again. My predictions here are going to be a lot shakier compared to when we get into some of the higher predictions. I think so. It's a tough one. All right, I will start then going down my list anyway, and we'll see how that matches up with what you guys think. I have Pawn Noob winning. I have him winning it all. I think he's a little bit underrated in Copper. I have been very impressed with his play. He's really good. Entirely possible that he does not finish this highly, but I've been really impressed with him. I think he wins it. Number 2, I have as Mr. Yeesh here. I think Yeesh is very strong. I think he is in. I think he's the runner-up, and further, I think he wins his promotion match to get into bronze next season. 3, I have Catnip finishing narrowly behind Yeesh. Also, very strong player, very involved, very much like learning really fast. So potentially very scary. Could easily finish higher than that. The wild card here is Brad. I do not know Brad's measure against the other 5 members of Copper. I'm going to put him at 4, just because I really don't know. He could finish higher than that. Perhaps slightly more likely he could finish lower than that. With no disrespect, of course, but Brad, number 4. Number 5, I have as Falcon. And number 6, although it breaks my heart, I have as Toon. Those are my predictions for Copper. It was really painful to make these predictions because you could make an argument for why literally any of these people. I said Pond. I could say Pwned. I'm not going to say Pwned. I'm not that much of a tool yet. You can make an argument for why any of these people could finish first, right? I mean, Falcon's ultra strong. Brad's a returning SCL veteran. Toon's been in really good practice recently. Catnip, Mushin, and Noob are all just like really powerful, and they've been playing a lot recently. So it was tough. It was tough for me to make those predictions.
You got to catch up to you guys somehow.
All right, let's go with Yeesh. Yeesh, what do you think? Other than number 1 Yeesh, presumably. No, I don't know if you have yourself ranked first. What you got?
No, I'm a little more modest than that.
Okay. Well, I mean,
honestly, I'm being completely honest here. I think Falcon Hit and Pwn Noob are both better than me. I split with them, but Pwn Noob played me when I was like a real beginner, and he just plays like anti against me. It's really annoying, actually. I think he just beats me.
You think
he's
just got a stylistic domination? Yeah.
Yeah. I put myself as I had number 1 as Falcon Hit.
Falcon Hit number 1.
Yeah, I think he's the strongest out of us all. Like just straight up with games and stuff.
Yep.
I have myself as 2.
Yeesh 2.
Yeah, I have Pwn Noob as 3. I just think I don't know how he'll deal against everyone else. I think he'll beat me, but I'm not sure if he'll beat everyone else.
Gotcha.
I think Toon is 4. This is really hard, by the way. This is like. It hurts my heart because these guys are all my friends, and I'm like,
that's right.
Well,
I know that's why this show is so brutal.
I know.
The show is so brutal right now.
I have Catnip.
We're building hype.
That.
Catnip 5th. Yeah, no, don't worry. We're building rivalries and hype. That's what we're doing.
And I have Brad at last.
Brad at last.
Because I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we've been playing a lot more.
I don't think. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's unreasonable because you guys have been playing a lot more recently. He's been kind of not super active outside of SCL, and he had a really weak season last season. So I mean, I think that's entirely possible. All right, let's move on to camera. What you think?
I also Falcon Hit's going to be first.
Falcon Hit first. So Probably, I would say, based on that, maybe Falcon Hit is a favorite to win the division because they know a lot more than I do about Falcon Hit's strength. Number 2.
Number 3, Yeesh again.
Okay.
Looks like Yeesh is.
Yeah, completely agreeing with Yeesh down the line, second place per everyone's predictions so far. Number 3.
I'm going to go with Catnip, number 3.
Catnip,
I think she's
number 3. All right.
Strong enough player to pull it off.
Yep.
Then 2.
Forgotten Tune comes in number 4th in this ranking. Number 5.
5 is Poor Noob, and 6 is just going to be Brad. Sorry, Brad, you had a bad season last year, and
Yep.
I think it's.
I think that's an entirely reasonable list. Agreeing with me about Yeesh and Catnip, I appear to be drastically underrating Falcon Hit and a little bit underestimating Forgotten Tune. The interesting disagreement Camera seems to have is about Pwnoob with the rest of us. Catnip, what do you have for the division?
Well, obviously I'm gonna finish first.
Okay, Catnip in 1.
Actually, not. That was
No,
just a joke.
okay, that was just a joke. All right.
I think Falcon will win.
Falcon Hit again, predicted to be number 1. Yeah.
Also partially because I know he's good, and secondly, he's played quite a lot with me. He's played quite a lot with Falcon. I mean, with Yeesh. So he knows both of our styles quite well.
Gotcha.
So for second, I have Pwnoob.
Nope. All right.
I wouldn't be too surprised if these first 2 places would be switched, but I think, and like based on games played and perhaps win ratios and things like that, Pwnoob is stronger, like we would say, on paper, in theory. But for some reason, I think that during competitive matches, Falcon will be better in terms of stress and mindset and just things like that.
Understandable.
Third, I have myself,
All right, Catnip in 3rd.
and that's not a joke this time.
Yeah.
Fourth, I have Yeesh.
Yeesh in 4th.
And once again, third and fourth might be switched. But I'm just gonna say that I'm better than Yeesh, and that I'm gonna
Especially
finish
after
in
his
higher
prediction.
than
You gotta
Yeesh.
fire
Let's
those
go.
shots. You gotta fire
Because,
those
you know,
shots.
Go.
trash talk
That's
could
right.
be, why not?
I love that this is like the SpyParty, what passes for SpyParty trash talk. All right, who's 5th?
Fifth, I have Tune,
Tune.
and sixth, Brad. And as for Tune, I put her, well, relatively low, but I wouldn't be surprised if she did like 3 places better.
Yeah, I have her finishing last, but I would be pretty unsurprised if I were completely wrong about that. I feel a little bit more confident that I think everyone's pretty confident that Brad might finish in the last 3. Falcon Hit though, y'all are way higher on Falcon Hit than I am, and y'all are probably
Easily.
right actually. So
I think the lesson here is that Kaylee does not rate Falcon Hit high.
I don't. I
Because
think
he doesn't know him.
yeah. I think I've played Falcon Hit like twice. I think I played him once in wildcards, which again are not a real thing that exists. And I've played him outside of that once. I think maybe not. I don't know. But I have no basis to judge him on wildcards because wildcards are a fake game mode that is totally fictional. I don't know. It's tough. I think the 5 other than Brad could literally finish in any order, and I wouldn't be at all surprised. All right, now things are really real because now we're into a division where we've got entirely people that were in SCL last season, so we have kind of a baseline, and this is Bronze Division. Let's talk a little bit about the individuals who are in Bronze Division before we get into predictions specifically about Bronze Division. First of all, we have the highest seeded player, I guess, going in based on results last season is Teetery. So Teetery was in Copper last season, and he had a really, really strong competitive season. The only reason Teetery was not your Copper champion last season was because he was in the same division as Fearful Ferret. And Fearful Ferret, as you all know, last season was on just a ridiculous tear where he literally won every single game he played. Teetery, in both of his regular season matches against Fearful Ferret, he went, I believe, something like, he went 0-2, and I think he had a 5-3 loss and a 5-2 loss. So he went very closely with Ferret in the regular season. And in the championship, Teetery played maybe one of the best matches I've seen anyone play in SCL last season. He took Ferret to 6-6. He drew it, and then Ferret won the tiebreaker 3-1. Teetery just needed to. He did not get the correct sniper shot in the 6-5 game. If he had just won that game, he's the champion. He hands Ferret his first loss. However, he did just slam dunk Butterscotch in the promotion match to chase Ferret up the ladder. He's not in the same division as Ferret this season. Ferret gets double promoted this season, so he does get to play a few familiar opponents. He plays Wodar, RJW, and Butterscotch, all of whom he's played before in SCL. Math Ranger and Laplace, who are your Oak, now Iron Division promotees, he has not played before. Wodar. I have no idea what's true about Wodar generally in SpyParty. This has been the case for a very long time with Wodar. Wodar was in Copper last season. Or no, was he in Copper or was he in Oak? No, he was in Copper last season. And
yeah, he was in Copper because people who
right
placement matches.
Yeah, we basically in the middle of it promoted him up to Copper. I thought Wodar was going to trash Copper Division, but he did not. He had real trouble against Fearful Ferret and Teetery. And as a result, he finished in third place, astonishingly enough. Now, to be sure, he did really well against Brad and RJW, who were the other members of Copper at the time. But he just, I mean, I think he got swept by Ferret. I know that. I forget what his record is. Let me look it up against Teetery. Yeah, he has a 4-4 draw against Teetery, and then he has a 5-3 loss against Teetery, which I don't think a lot of people were expecting. He sweeps Brad and RJW, but overall he's 4 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses on the season, 30 game wins, 22 game losses, and that's kind of a third. That's slightly better than third place record, and he almost finished in second, but just couldn't quite take it there. So Wodar, who knows what will happen with Wodar? We've got Butterscotch. Butterscotch had kind of a rough season last season. It was kind of like a middling season. He could have done a lot better, except he forfeited a critical game because he went AWOL in the middle of the season. And then he had to face Teetery in his promotion match, which he lost. We've got Math Ranger and Laplace. So Math Ranger and Laplace were the Oak top 1 and 2. Math Ranger is your champion. Laplace is your runner-up. They just ran rampant over that whole division, including over Titleist, who's an ultra veteran. I think the skill difference there is that Math Ranger is better than Laplace. Not only based on their results last season, but just based on what I know of the two of them. Math Ranger has a lot more experience, especially now. Math Ranger has a lot more experience, and I think he's just the more dangerous player. RJW, I don't know what will happen with RJW. RJW had a hard luck season last season. I think he's a lot better player than his results would suggest. He's a very persistent player. And a lot of his losses, he earned really good results, despite losing the match in the end. He's got about 800, 900 games now, something like that. It's a little bit behind the curve for this division. But I think RJW might be maybe the most underrated player in Bronze right now. So I will get to my predictions now, if I can pull them up here. There they are. All right, so I have Teetery, perhaps to no one's surprise, winning this division. I think Teetery showed us all last season that he is severely for real. So I think I have Teetery winning this one, going away. In fact, your runner-up I have as Math Ranger, 101. I think Math Ranger is a very strong player. I know he can beat Wodar. I know he can beat Laplace. I think he can beat RJW and Butterscotch. I think Math Ranger is your number 2 player. Number 3, I have Wodar finishing 3rd. I would not be surprised if Wodar just went on some kind of rampage and won this easily, but I think Teetery and Math Ranger will very easily give him a run for his money. Number 4, I have RJW. I think RJW is going to be a lot of people's picks to finish in the bottom 2 of this division, but I think he had just a hard luck season last season. I think he just did not quite get there. Just so many of his losses were pretty reasonably close. I think he'll get over that hump and at least avoid demotion this season. And your bottom 2, I have Butterscotch. And I think Laplace, I think he's a little bit over-promoted into bronze. He feels more like a copper player right now to me. So I think that is my top 6 for copper. Yeesh, your thoughts?
Top 3 obviously is going to be the hardest call, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Modar will win.
Modar will win? That's totally
just the predicted result, but upsets happen, so I would definitely not count any of these players out. Then I would say Teetery second, Math third, Laplace fourth, and then I don't know enough about the other 2 players, so I put them at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Laplace.
In some order or another, yeah. So Butterscotch and RJW, yeah.
Yes. I'm on it. Yeah, I just don't know. I know Matt's really good. Matt,
He is for sure.
Math is quite strong. I feel like, yeah, top 3 can happen. I think Teetery versus Math will be the season, the match of bronze to watch.
I'll be very interested in
that
those.
will be. I will definitely spectate that.
Yeah, Teetery versus Math Ranger is going to be really hot. I think those are the 2 people who were they entered really low last season. They were the ones who had the real breakout performances at the low end of the league last season. So yeah, I think that's a hot matchup. Camera, what you got?
I'm excited.
This is definitely Wodar.
You think Wodar's the champion?
No, not.
Oh, okay.
Wodar is just so variable. I think it's going to depend on whether or not he decides to meme this. I mean, I know Double Mod are known to source of memes, but it'll still depend whether or not he's actually trying or just going. So I'm going to have Teetery first, then Wodar, then Math Ranger, Laplace, Butterscotch, then RJ Watt.
So yeah, that's basically Yeesh's list. Only with a definite order for Butterscotch and RJ Watt. Yeah, you make a good point, Cameron, which is that Wodar is a player who can definitely play down to his competition a little bit. Right? Like he's a player who will not take threats as seriously as perhaps he should, and he'll play in kind of like a silly way when he perhaps ought not to. Yeah, I think Cameraman's got like auto volume adjust on. Let me see if I've got him on. But yeah, Cameraman, yeah, you're cutting out occasionally. I think you've got like auto volume adjust on or something.
See what I do in a second.
No
what
problem.
I can do.
Yeah, we'll go to Catnip. Catnip, what you got?
I think Teetery will take the bronze.
Okay.
Second, I put Wodar. And as for Wodar himself is quite a wild card. And last season I was very much underestimating him, and I didn't really understand why people think of him so highly in terms of SpyParty playing. And then I watched him at the balcony tournament, and I realized, okay, he's definitely good, and I changed my mind. But then from what I sort of heard or whatever, I kind of concluded that Wodar is good, but he's not versatile enough to be, up there.
Yeah, he has.
SCL.
Yeah, he has a few problems, right? I mean, he's got known weaknesses, and well, I mean, when he's good, he's really good. But you're not always going to get good Wodar, right? Sometimes you're going to get, Wodar. Why on earth did you make that shot, Wodar? Is who you get sometimes. Yeah.
And the rest, I have a sequence, but it's
Totally
pretty
random,
much guessing.
yeah.
So at third I have RG Watt. In fourth I have Math Ranger. In fifth Butterscotch, and in sixth Laplace, or however
Gotcha.
you pronounce it. But third place down is pretty much just guesswork.
Yeah, I think we've got more or less some consensus here. I mean, we all think Teetery's going to be in the top 2. Teetery makes it to the championship match in all of our predictions. We've all got Math Ranger. I rate him a little bit higher than you guys do. We've got 1 second place vote. We've got 2 third place votes. We've got 1 fourth place vote.
I have no idea about him as a SpyParty player. I have played him now a few times in board games, and he's at least averagely good at them. So, the brain is there, but I have no idea about SpyParty.
Gotcha.
So.
I'm just going to turn this down to predictions so that it's a little less inconsistent. Butterscotch and Laplace seem like the more or less consensus bottom two. A few of us have RJW down there in the bottom two. I think RJW is gonna surprise people, but I understand why you'd put him in the bottom two for sure. He did not have a great season last season. It's just he got so close in a lot of his games last season, but with a lot more consensus in these predictions. And I think as we go up the ladder, we'll see more and more consensus in the predictions, except in some of the tougher ones. Let's move on to Silver. So Silver's a very different division this season than it was last season. The highest seed player is going to be Elvis Snake. Elvis Snake had an interesting season last season, I would say. He almost gets into third place in his division. He just could not get any wins against Cameraman, I think is what really hurt him, nor against Royal Flush, who ended up winning the division. He did okay against Royal Flush. I think he had a 5-3 and a 5-2. Yeah, he had a 5-3 and a 5-2 loss to Royal Flush. He got stomped by Cameraman. He had a pair of 5-1 losses, and he did really well against everyone else. He swept Bry Guy. He had a win and a draw against Checker, and then beat Checker in the Hazard match, pretty convincingly, 7-5, I think. And then, I think perhaps to a lot of people's surprise, he took down Hummus, who was challenging for promotion, and defended his spot in Silver. So that's Elvis Snake. We've got Iceman. Don't take Iceman for anything other than a really strong player. Because that's what he is. He in the end manages to get into the championship for Bronze Division last season after a really tough fight against SG Nerf and Lieutenant Hummus. There's kind of a three-way race for the title there. Hummus got the better of him during the regular season, and Hummus played him in the championship. But Iceman won when it counted in the championship, 7-5, and he earned auto promotions. We were talking about SG Nerf. SG Nerf was the guy who came out on the short end of the stick on that in that three-way fight for first place. Did really well against Freak. Did really well against Iceman. Just win and a draw against Butterscotch and Hummus. I think the win in the draw against Butterscotch in particular is what hurt him. We've got Ferret. Ferret is a monster, and he went 8-0-0 last season. So he has yet to lose a game not a game. He has yet to lose a match in SCL. So you're kind of hard pressed to predict against Ferret. I mean, because he's literally not even drawn a single match. Sweeps Brad, sweeps RJW, sweeps Teetery, sweeps Wodar, and that's impressive. Who else? We got Lieutenant Hummus. Mr. Hummus had a very good season last season, in the regular season anyway. He just could not get it done in the playoffs. He had a really disappointing playoffs given his strong regular season performance. Could not beat Iceman narrowly for the championship, lost 5-7, and then just could not beat Elvis Snake for promotion. He went even 4-4 in the first set and lost 2-4 in the second set. So a pair of really narrow defeats for Hummus in the playoffs. And then we've got Checker, the developer of our fine game, who just had a rough season last season. He beat Bry Guy, but other than that, it was a season kind of full of dark spots for him. We got swept by Cameraman, swept by Royal Flush, one draw, one loss against Elvis Snake, and just a tough season for Checker. I think primarily, again, because he tends to spend a lot of time developing the game instead of playing the game. So he's
his priorities right.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so let's talk predictions. I do not have Fearful Ferret as your league champion. I have this man as the champion. I believe in Elvis Snake. I believe Elvis Snake and Fearful Ferret are your top two. I think Ferret will definitely have blood drawn against him in this division. He was a little bit. He was definitely stronger than the rest of his division last season. I think he's still stronger than most of his division in this season. But I think against this competition, he will do a little bit worse. I have him finishing second. I have Elvis Snake beating Fearful Ferret in the finals. I have Ferret winning promotion to gold next season, despite losing the championship match. So we'll see. Third place, I have Hummus. I think it was a hard luck season for Hummus last season, but I think he turns it around pretty well. not. I mean, it's just so hard to get into the top 2 of silver. I mean, there are just so many good players. I think Iceman gets into 4th place. 3rd and 4th place could be very close. Hummus and Iceman have gone very close in their past results. It's hard to say who will finish ahead here. 5th, I have SG Nerf, although I do have SG Nerf beating Math Ranger to retain his spot in silver. So I think SG Nerf stays in silver despite the 5th place finish. And I think Checker, perhaps to no one's surprise, finishes last. Checker just not in good shape in terms of competitive SpyParty right now. He's got 2,000 plus games. He's just not in practice. There was a period late last year where I would have had him ranked higher on this list, where he was playing a lot more, and where he was really working on some of the bad habits he has, right? So he has these terrible habits of just kind of playing Spy really impulsively and without much of a plan, I think, is his primary weakness. I think he still has not decided on a sniper style. And as a result, he tends to allocate his sniper time inefficiently. He was getting better about that last year, but he hasn't. He's just not playing the game, so it's kind of hard to see him doing really well when he's so badly out of practice. Yeesh, you're up next. What do you got? Do we still have a
Okay,
Yeesh?
tough.
Okay, yeah.
It's a tough division to judge.
It's a super tough division.
Top 4, I think, could almost go any way, because I feel like Elvis and Hummus are close.
Yeah.
I feel like Fearful Ferret, Hummus, and Elvis are close, and then Iceman and Hummus are close. So it's just like,
we know those
what
two
do
are
I do?
super close. Yeah, exactly.
I rank Elvis as first.
Yeah.
Still, I think Elvis is a beast. I rank Iceman second. Iceman, I played him. He's very strong. He really surprised me, and I think he's been playing quite a bit too, so I think he'll catch people off guard. I think he could beat some of these players like Fearful Ferret, or at least give them a huge run for their money. 3rd place, I have Hummus.
Fearful Ferret falling down the ladder. Bottom 3 finish.
Yeah,
for
that's
Fearful
right.
Ferret, according to Yeesh.
I honestly, I agree. I feel like Ferret is close. As I said, top 4 is rough for me, but I feel like Ferret had a really good advantage last season because he was just like a little underrated last season and then crushed everyone, and now people are just going to be like, okay, this is Fearful Ferret. Be a bit more careful, please.
Yeah, you think the kind of
Be a little
Hideo
more
Nomo
cautious.
factor of like, this is not someone you can take lightly at all is kind of gone.
And I feel
so,
like preparation will kind of be a big deal against Ferret, and I think that might hurt him in some of these games. I believe he'll take 4th.
Gotcha.
And I have Checker and Snurf in either order. I think they're both about the same strength. I think Snurf's maybe a little bit better. Not sure.
Yeah, I think
haven't
he
really
is.
played them both,
I
so.
think he is. So SG Nerf had a really good season. I mean, SG Nerf is like right up there with Iceman and Hummus last season. He's just the guy who like just loses that one game that he needed to not lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he is.
Yeah,
better
I
than
put
Checker.
Snurf at 5. Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, sure. I'll change it from who knows to SG Nerf.
And that's my predictions. I mean, Ferret surprised me. Go ahead. I feel like you can easily take first if you perform top of your game, but I feel like people are going to be ready for you.
Yeah, I think
Get ready.
I think what do we got here? Okay, yeah, there's my challenger predictions. Yeah, up on the screen right now. Yeah, number 1 Papers, 2 Epigiant Divine, 3 Moth, 4 Elvis Snake, 5 Steph, 6 Malix McGlass, 7 Trevor, 8 G-Man Sang, 9 Tubby Custard. All right, that brings camera up.
I have
But
and all the hype last season is sort of all the luster off. He's still a very consistent player, just extremely consistent. It's
which player? Ferret winning. Okay.
He has like the most mechanical behavioralist style that's just very consistent.
Yeah, he's very tough to spy against, for sure.
After that, I have Iceman getting second.
I don't
I think
that would
Iceman's
surprise anyone. Yeah.
underrated.
3rd place?
Hummus is 3rd.
Elvis Snake falling down this. Yeah, so you have to put someone in the bottom, and it's just surprising no matter what you do when you throw people at the bottom. Who's 4th?
Then Elvis Snake has a thing where he's either really good against a specific player or really bad against a specific player.
That's a good point. He either had really good or really bad results last season. He didn't really have a lot of middle ground.
And so I think his position here is going to be dependent on how well he figures out and just manages to.
Yeah, I think Ferret versus Elvis Snake is going to be one of the more interesting matchups this season. I mean, we know how Iceman and Hummus do generally. Their matches versus Ferret are going to be interesting as well, but I think Elvis Snake versus Ferret is the one that will really kind of determine the fate of the division. All right, and then for 5th, 6th, we've got SG Nerf and Checker in some order.
Signer 4, 5, Checker 6. Sorry, Checker, you just haven't been practicing.
Yeah.
Those terrible,
I
terrible habits that'll just kind of hamstring you.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I also don't think that it helps that he tends to stream when he's playing. Like, I mean, I'm a streamer, and I like to stream SpyParty, but I almost never stream when I'm playing SCL, just because I think it straight up makes you a worse player to have an audience watching you stream.
Yeah, Checker's already kind of in this play style, and streaming just like exacerbates that.
I would agree.
And
All
it
right. Yeah, continue.
Just ends up like not being able to make a decision, whether it's not like shooting his top suspect for sniper or not going to finish the missions for spy. It's just he needs to focus more.
I agree. Like I have seen him go, I should shoot this person, and repeat that for like 15 seconds, and then he loses to that person. And it's just like
That
Checker.
happens to me way more than I
Gotta
would like.
pull the trigger, Checker. All right, Catnip, what do you got?
In first I have Elvis, and I have pretty high confidence in him in this division.
Gotcha.
In second I have Hummus. OT Hummus.
Yep.
I don't think he'll take first, but I mean, Ferret is favorite from like overall reputation, but I think I think he is overestimated.
I think there's a case to be made for that. Yeah, I think like a little bit like he was stomping people who are way worse than him, or mostly who are way worse than him.
Exactly, and I mean, I definitely agree that he's good and really good, but especially in this division with these people, he's definitely gonna have a much tougher competition, especially against Elvis and Hummus, than he did in his last year of SCL. So basically, I just think he happened to run into weaker opponents.
That's
and
entirely
that's why
possible.
He was undefeated.
Yeah, and that's why I think all of us except Cameraman have him lower than 1. Will I mean it's the Batman versus Superman question of will Fearful Ferret bleed, and we think he will. At least all of us but Camera do, certainly. Who do we have as 4? Captain.
Fourth I have Checker.
Checker finishing in 4th place. Catnip expressing some confidence in the developer of the game.
Oh, I don't. Apparently, I'm underestimating Iceman a lot because I have him in 5th. Perhaps that's because I haven't really. I played him in balcony one match, but in balcony tournament, but other than that, I have not seen him played.
Perhaps then another match in the same balcony tournament against James, I think.
But other than that, I have not really seen him played or have played him myself, and
it's not a name that that I'm familiar with and that has been famous and has come to my ears easily and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And in 6 I have Snurf.
SG Nerf, yeah. So SG Nerf definitely lowly rated here, yeah.
Basically the bottom half was like I marked in my notes. It's more of a guesswork. I can rank the first 3, but 4 to 6 is a bit of a guesswork.
Yeah. So we've got Hummus finishing 3-3-3-2, Ferret finishing 2-1-3-4. Ferret all over the place. Elvis 1-1-1-4. So Elvis the favorite to win this division right now, which is not what I expected people would select. Only one person picking Ferret to win the division is definitely not what I thought would happen. We got Iceman finishing 4-2-2-5. So Iceman going to have a one way or the other season according to our predictions. SG Nerf pretty reliably at the bottom. 5-5-5-6, and Checker at 6-6-6-4, also not expected to finish well in silver. All right, let's go through the history of Gold Division. So, Kat, what happened during your last session of predictions was you would occasionally like go underwater, and there'd just be this like really loud low hum in the middle of what you were saying. You were still audible. I couldn't tell what you were saying. All right, so Bry Guy had a pretty good season last season. He had more ups than downs for sure. He did really well in his division against everyone whose name was not Elvis Snake. He took a lot of defeats, though. I mean, he lost to Checker, he lost to Royal Flush, and he got swept by Elvisnake. Nevertheless, he did really well. He managed to get into the championship match against Elvisnake, where he lost. So he lost in a very close match, 6-6, and then the tiebreaker was 3-1. And then he managed to win a pretty easy match against Scallions for promotion to gold. So he has 2 returning opponents. He plays Scallions again. Scallions is in gold with him. He plays against Cameraman again, and he swept Cameraman in the regular season in Season 1. But he also has some really tough opponents. So he's got a gold veteran other than Scallions, who is James1221. And then he's got the 2 new placement players who were placed in gold this season, namely Warning Track and Pyrez. So that's where Bry Guy's at. He's got less games played compared to the rest of gold by some distance, but we know for a fact that he can hold his ground at least against some of these guys. Next up is Warning Track. Warning Track enters the SCL after playing placement matches. He defeated Wodar, SG Nerf, Cameraman, and Veranos. He drew against Bacon, and then he lost to KCM, which puts him in gold division. If you don't know about Warning Track, he's a longtime member of the SpyParty community. He's been here since closed beta, since before I started playing. He runs SpyPartyFans.com. He's got about 8,000 games. He's in the top 10 of experience. He has played against Scallions and James1221 before, many a time in competitive. He beat Cameraman fairly easily on his way up the ladder, and Cameraman is in his division this season. The questions for him are going to be Pyrez and Bry Guy, neither of whom that I know of he has a lot of experience against.
And let's not forget he was a regular caster last season.
That's right.
SCL.
That's right. Now we just need to get Taboshi in, and we'll have the quadrifecta of season 1 casters in there. All right, Cameraman. Cameraman just couldn't quite get into the playoffs last season. He almost did, but getting swept by Bry Guy really, really hurt. It was a pair of 5-3 defeats against Bry Guy for Cameraman last season. He swept Checker. He swept Elvisnake. 1 draw, 1 loss against Royal Flush. And again, the loss is a 5-3 ultra close loss. He ends up having 33 games wins and 25 game losses, but his overall record's 4-win, 1 draw, 3 losses. So he just barely gets kicked down into 3rd place. So he pretty easily avoids any danger of being demoted. I mean, the reason Elvisnake and Checker were in the bottom 2 last season, despite pretty strong performances, was that Cameraman just kind of kicked the crap out of both of them. He gets nevertheless promoted to gold in restructuring for season 2. So he has to go up against Bry Guy again. And so he needs to do slightly better against Bry Guy than he did. Again, 5-3 defeats are basically one game. That's a 1-game margin. So I think Bry Guy has an excellent chance to do better or to do well, but I think Cameraman also has a chance to win this matchup. He's never played James or Scallions, and of course he's never played Warning Track or Pyrez. So that's where my fellow predictor Cameraman is at. We got kind of Scallions and James are kind of in the same place. They're both like super ultra long time veterans who were in gold last season and just did not do well. Scallions lost to Bry Guy, lost to Kletos, lost to Veranos. Went about even with Kaikar, and in the Scallions v James matchup, Scallions got the better of that one. He did win the Hazard match against James, just ended up being demoted. James, you kind of know the same story. Did pretty poorly against everyone else. But just couldn't get it together. And then you've got Pyrez, who is so Pyrez is only started playing in December of last year, and nevertheless in that time he's racked up over 4,000 games. So he's played something like 1,333 games a month, which is just an insane pace of SpyParty. He goes up. Yeah, go ahead.
For comparison, I have joined on December 15th, or like plus minus couple days, so around the same time, and right now I have about 1,300 games. So
yeah, he plays again about that many games in a month, which is silly. Yeah. So Pyrez as being told Pyrez, lots of games. Go ahead.
I can also that Pyrez his skill levels definitely increased with the games. It's not like he's just been playing against 0-0s. I played him, I think, 3 times. He was new once when he was at like 1,500 games, and then once just like last month, and the improvement was amazing, just shocking.
And Perez has he was voted into gold, by the way. He did not take the matches route; he took the voting route, and no one wanted to deal with him. Seemingly, they kicked him up to gold. Gold finally took him more or less unanimously. So the people in gold
And I wonder why.
feel pretty confident about their chances against Perez. Although it was a choice, to be fair, between Perez or Royal Flush, and neither of those are super enthusiastic people that I would like to play. So let's get on to my predictions. I have the placement players winning Gold Division by some distance. I have number 1, Warning Track. Warning Track is a very, very strong SpyParty player. I think the only question will be how much is he in practice? How well will he be able to adapt to the people he's never played before, such as Pierce, such as Bry Guy and Cameraman. I don't know if he's played Bry Guy or Cameraman. Cameraman, has Track ever played you?
Yes, I lost the match against him.
Gotcha.
5-3.
I've got Perez finishing second right after that. I think these players are going to do really well. I think Perez is more liable to perform lower than Track is. I think I feel very confident about my Track prediction, not as much about my Perez prediction. Number 3, I have Bry Guy. I think Bry Guy is going to do very well. I think a lot of it will come down to the Bry Guy versus Cameraman matchup. I think that's going to be that's kind of my gold matchup to watch, because these two have played each other in very close matches before. So we'll see if Cameraman can manage to make it swing his way. And speaking of Cameraman, I have him finishing 4th narrowly in a very close 3rd versus 4th with Bry Guy. I think Scallions finishes last, and I have him losing to Ferret for promotion. And James 1-2-1-2-2-1. So I have the same bottom 2 from gold as it was last season, in the same order. Bry Guy 3rd, Cameraman 4th. In that case, let's kick it over to Yeesh.
All right. I agree with Warning Track. Warning Track's a stud. He's so good. Hard to play against.
Yeah,
he scares me.
He's just really good. He's just really, really
Yep.
good.
Yeah. I don't see him.
I mean, he's top 10 experience. He's ultra hard to play against. Really strong spy. Really strong sniper. Some have said not like super ultra top tier sniper or spy. I think he is. But in any case, I don't think it matters because he's not in the top. He's not in the top division. He's in two divisions down from the top division. So I think his skills are enough. Who you got number 2, Yeesh?
I got Scallions.
Scallions
a little bit of
number
a
2.
surprise here. Yes. I think that last season he underperformed a lot, and I believe I've seen him a lot more in practice. I think he's gonna step it up. I feel like maybe he was thinking he was just gonna crush last season, and this didn't.
I think he's gonna train hard. He's gonna do the Rocky montage.
He has been. I've seen him a little bit.
That's
in,
interesting. I didn't know
practice, that. So, I've seen him around, and he's keeping his whip sharp. So
you're saying Scallions doing those push-ups, drinking those egg smoothies?
Yeah,
ready
I'm not
to go
sure about
for
James.
season 2.
Not sure about James.
Yeah,
but yeah. 3, I have Perez. I played Perez over a long time. He's good, behavioralist, and he's hard to play against. If people figure out how to play him, you can beat him. It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I've played a few against Perez,
and
he's definitely kind of the next generation of behavioralists. He's playing super strong in the sort of style of KCM and Durafo.
Yes. Perez will sweep if people can't adapt, so they need to adapt.
All right, who's after that?
I had Cameraman.
Cameraman
and Bry Guy is tough. I think I don't really know too much about either of these players except that they're strong. I looked them up in SCL. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I feel like either of them could beat Scallions, though, and maybe Perez if they know how to play him. So, I mean, that's kind of the same thing with all behaviorists, though. So
and that's potentially a weakness for Perez, too, because one of the things that behavioralism really requires is an ultra-strong command of game knowledge, and particularly of AI behavior. And so I think a lot will come down to how well Perez has mastered his behavioralist craft. He is playing games at a fantastic clip, so he's getting a lot of experience, but still, 4,000 games is actually not that much for a top-tier behavioralist. And if you're a behavioralist, you're either top tier or you're bottom tier. Basically, I mean, you can't really be a kind of middling behavioralist. So I think that's a good point. All right, 5 and 6.
5 Bright Guy. I think it's
Bright Guy.
close.
Gotcha. And so that
And,
leaves
6
James.
James.
1. Yep.
I think it's kind of the opposite. Scallions has been, I feel like, putting a little bit of time in the gym. And I feel like James hasn't. So I feel like James might be a little bit rusty.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And hasn't really prepared enough for these newcomers.
All right, cameraman. Yush and I both put you at 4. Let's see what you think of your division.
I think I'm going to go for the greed and put myself first.
Cameraman number 1.
I mean, there's definitely
And
a lot
why
of
wouldn't
competition.
you?
I do not think this is an unreasonable prediction. I think if you can go
This
over,
is certainly possible.
I think
A
if you
man's
go,
got a dream.
if you go over Bry Guy, you're right there. I think you're right there with Warning Track and Pyrrhus. Or Pyrrhus. I think you are. I think you're able to take on those guys on relatively even ground. I think if you go over Bry Guy, you're right there in the championship picture. Who you got number 2?
Yeah. I have Piers at number 2.
Okay.
Piers is very strong. He, along with Braga, are the players that I'm most worried about. Not like necessarily to win the whole thing, but my personal play against them.
Gotcha. Keeping it going, number 3.
Warning track.
Yeah, it's hard to rank Warning Track much lower than that, I think.
Warning track was good, but I feel like he was still a bit rusty. I mean, I don't want to fire shots at Warning track or anything, but I threw 2 of the spy games I played. I feel like if I hadn't,
Yeah, I'd be right there with him. All right, let's keep going. So Scallions, Bry Guy, and James in the bottom half. What you got?
he's
Braga
just a
number 4.
strong player.
Yep.
Then James, 1,
And then Scallions in last.
Yep.
All right.
James did very well in the balcony tournament. I mean, he lost his match against, I think, Koda or someone, but then he knocked out Ferret in the loser's bracket, and I think that shows that he's been rest a bit.
James has always been a little bit better at kind of the behaviorally favored maps, like your balconies and such. I think a lot of it will come down to how often he can get that kind of good, like, balcony-ish matchup against someone who's maybe not got that advantage. Like Warning Track, for instance. Warning Track is definitely kind of right down the middle of what a hybrid player looks like, so he can definitely hang on balcony, but I think James would have the relative advantage against him. I think one of the more entertaining matches that we had last season was the playoff match, and this was a promotion match between Bry Guy and Scallions, where Bry Guy was fighting for promotion to this division and Scallions was defending. And Bry Guy ran over Scallions with kind of a tactic that Scallions is very fond of, which is character metagaming, which is a tactic that we kind of like to make fun of at a high level, because we see YouTubers do it and talk about, well, am I going to be general this time? And it's kind of not really something that we do at a high tier. We just let the random decide, or we pick spies for very practical reasons, like, well, I plan on blocking a statue, so I'm going to pick a wider character or whatever. But Bry Guy played orange dress meta against Scallions and won. And that's what Scallions is known for, which is really interesting. So I want to see more of that matchup too, the Bry Guy Scallions matchup. Let's get on to Catnip. Catnip, what do you have?
In first, I have Warning Track. I saw a couple of his placement match games, and dang.
Yeah, he ran people over on his way to gold. Like he drew bacon, and he narrowly lost to KCM. So other than that, he really stomped on people in his placement matches. Even Wozer.
And there it seems I'm gonna be a combo breaker. And in second, I have Cameraman.
Cameraman number 2.
In third, I have Scallions. And in my list, Beers is only in fourth.
All right.
I think he's good, but not as good as everyone thinks.
Gotcha.
Kinda.
I think he can very easily finish at the bottom even of this division if his behavioralist chops are not up to par for this level of competition. I mean, against Warning Track, you have to be a pretty darn good behavioralist. You have to know quite a lot against the game. I don't know whether Pyrrhus knows that much, or whether his experience has prepared him to play at that level, and that's we will find out. I think he has, but we'll find out. Who you got number 5?
I got Bry Guy and 6 James, but those two is it's blurry.
Gotcha.
It's a bit of a guesswork again.
So we got some interesting picks. So Track is kind of the consensus favorite to win. Camera thinks he'll finish 3rd. Cameraman, no one puts him lower than 4th. We got 2 4th place votes, and then we got a 1 and 2 vote for Cameraman. So Cameraman going to be pretty strong. Looks like Pira is going to be pretty strong. I appear to be the only person who has that much confidence in Braga. I think Braga will do well. Scallion. So James, everyone has near the bottom. Scallions. A couple of us think Scallions has been eating his Wheaties and will do really well this season, and a couple of us think he's gonna repeat the disappointing performance from last season. So we will see if Scallions can come through with the underdog victories. Yeah, go ahead. Who was up next? Someone was gonna say something.
I don't think my own should count. I mean, it's a little greedy.
I don't think it's unreasonable. I would tell you if I thought, oh, you're not actually gonna. I would not be surprised if you finish first. Again, I think if you go over Bry Guy, you're right there with Trek and Pires, and I think you're capable of doing well against those guys. All right, let's talk about the lads of Platinum Division. They are led this season by Mr. Kletos. So Kletos was in gold last season. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Plat is kind of like Silver in my opinion. A lot of close players who could win pretty simply.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
a lot of close skill.
It's a pretty tightly packed division for sure. So Kletos won gold division last season. Only really Kaikar had like much of a chance against Kletos last season. They traded wins in the regular season, and Kletos won the championship very narrowly, 7-5. So Kletos has to take on Kaikar again, and he has to take on Veranos again, although he did very well against Veranos. But he also has to go up against some Platinum veterans, Sharper and Slappy, and he's got to go up against Royal Flush, who's double promoted from Silver. We've got Kaikar, who again could not quite win last season. Kaikar was very close to being the gold champion, but just couldn't quite go over Kletos. Sharper and Slappy were at the bottom of Platinum last season. Slappy had a little bit better season. Sharper had a really tough season. He did win a game against Bloom, an important game against Bloom, and he won it very convincingly. But other than that, it was losses all the way. And then we've got Royal Flush. Royal Flush is kind of an interesting case, I think, because again, he's double promoted, and double promoted is always going to be interesting. So he just barely eked Bry Guy in Silver in Season 1. Despite he had a loss and a draw against him in the regular season, but managed to go over in the championship match, and all of his other results were really close. So Cameraman, he won and drew against you, but the win was 5-3. He beat Checker twice, but both of those wins were 5-3. He beat Elvis Snake twice, but one of those wins was 5-3 and the other was 5-2. So he was the champion in Silver, but he was the champion by a narrow margin. So I think making the double jump, I think Royal Flush is pretty vulnerable this season. He might be punching above his weight. I guess we'll find out what our panel thinks. I will go first with my predictions.
Also, can I just insert something about Royal Flush? Mm-hmm. The 5-3 match that I lost, it was about to be a tie. I had Royal Flush nailed, and I accidentally shot Toby. He walked right in front of me.
Oh, the miss. So even more closeness on the Toby shot there. I have Kletos winning. I think Kletos showed some real mettle last season, and I expect him. I think he's playing Diamond level SpyParty, and I expect him to be promoted to Diamond at the end of this season. I think Kletos wins. I think Slappy Davis finishes second. I think Slappy will really benefit from having some of the really tough competitors promoted to Diamond. I think Slappy will be the one who really comes out strong now that he has to face maybe a little bit less tough competition than he did last season. I have Kaikar finishing third. Kaikar did really well against Kletos. Just barely lost. I think it'll come down to how he does against people like Slappy Davis and Sharper. We know how he does against Kletos and Veranos, more or less. I think he will have the edge on Royal Flush. I think it'll come down to Kaikar Slappy Davis. They've played before. As I recall, it's been pretty even. I think that's where a lot is going to be for Kaikar. I perhaps interestingly have Sharper fourth. I think Sharper will do a lot better this season. He was a very hard luck season last season. He lost a lot of close games. I mean, 7 losses is bad no matter how you cut it. But I think that he will do better this season than he did last season. Veranos I have finishing 5th. Again, it's hard to make an argument for Veranos to do super well because he'll have to outperform Kaikar and Kletos when he didn't do so last season. So I think Veranos is going to continue perhaps to struggle against Kletos and Kaikar. If he doesn't, then his wild card could go anywhere. In last place, I have Royal Flush. I do think Flush is over-promoted. I think 2 divisions was a bit too much. I think he's a gold player right now. So, I mean, he just very, very narrowly won the Silver Championship, and now he's 2 divisions up in Platinum. So I, with all respect, do not think he can hang here against this level of competition. I have him finishing last. All right, Yeesh, what you got?
All right. I've got some interesting picks.
Go ahead.
So I have Slappy first.
Slappy first.
Just solid. He's a solid player. He's so good. Excellent. Number 2, I have Kikar. Surprisingly,
I don't think
the
that's
main
surprising.
difference I was thinking between the trio, Kikar, Kitos, and Veranos. I think Kikar has been playing a lot more.
That's
Kletos, I haven't
very
really
true.
seen him in practice that much. I feel like Kikar has been practicing a lot more. It feels like he wants to take some revenge. So I feel like Kikar is going to take this one.
Fair. Number 3.
Number 3, I have Sharper.
Mr. Sharper
this is
in
close.
3rd place. I think we're... Yeah. Go ahead.
It's close. I'm just gonna
Keep rolling.
going.
All right.
4, I have Kletos. Kletos is excellent player. Haven't seen much in practice, so that's kind of why I put Kikar above him.
I
But
think rust is a factor. Gotcha.
who knows? You saw Warning Track just crush without that much practice, so I mean, who knows? 5, Veranos. Once again, Veranos is, I think as you said, has to overperform. And it would be up to Veranos and Royal Flush to see if they can really hang with the tough crowd.
I mean, I know
'Cause of
Veranos
these-
can hang a little bit with Kaikar and Kletos. I mean, he got kind of he didn't do super well, but he definitely was competitive with them. He didn't get crushed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I called him the trio.
Yeah.
I just feel like he still is gonna have to play well. That's
Right.
kind of what you need in this kind of sense. And then Royal Flush, I agree with you. Definitely over promoted. Let's see how he hangs with the tough crowd. If he steps up, I think people might have a different view of him if he can win some games here.
Yeah, I
Wish him
mean,
the
I don't think
best.
any of us are thinking of Royal Flush right now as a top tier player, and I mean, to win this division means you are basically a diamond level player, and I don't think any of us think of Royal Flush that way. I think I think of him as a very, very strong intermediate player. But yeah, I don't think he can finish at the top of Platinum. I think he's a competitive gold right now. All right, Cameraman, what do you got?
I also have Slappy Davis taking place.
Slappy Davis as the winner.
Then probably Kikar, then Kletos,
Cameron
then
also has Kikar
Veranos, Sharp, Royal Flush. I agree with everything else. You say that Royal Flush is overpromoted. I definitely agree with that.
going. Yeah. And that leaves Wisconsin. What do you think?
Well, I have Slappy in first.
Slappy Davis in first.
In second, I have Kletos.
Yeah, all right. Same one, too, as I had. What you got for 3?
And then it's once again this blurry guesswork, but in third I have Sharper. In fourth, Royal Flush. In fifth, Kikar. Which makes me question my logic after seeing all your opinions. Perhaps it's because I joined last season of SCL quite late.
Uh-huh.
And I just really don't know those players, and apparently I'm thinking way worse about them than you are and than you have seen.
Gotcha.
And that leaves Varanus in sixth.
Yeah, fair predictions all. I think one of the interesting things is that we all kind of concurred that the bottom two from Platinum last season, Slappy Davis and Sharper, are going to do a lot better this season. It's just a question of how much better. I think the lowest any of them is ranked. Cameraman had them 5th. I have Sharper 4th. But other than that, it's top 3 all the way for Slappy Davis and Sharper. All of us have Slappy Davis in the final, in the championship match. Sharper rated 4-3, 5-3. The trio that are promoted from gold are the interesting ones, I think. Kletos, Kaikar, and Veranos. I have them in that order. Catnip has them in that order, although she's got Kikar and Veranos finishing low. Cameron and Yeesh have Kaikar doing really well and going over Kletos to get into the championship match. I wouldn't be surprised. Veranos and Royal Flush, probably the consensus lowest two. 3 of us have Royal Flush on the bottom. The rest of us, all of us have Veranos in the bottom 3, 5, 5, 4, 6. Veranos just has to do better against Kaikar and Kletos to go anywhere in this division, let alone against the veterans Slappy and Sharper. I think Veranos will have the measure of Royal Flush, but we will see. And that brings us to good old Diamond. Let's talk about the Diamond players. You had me last season. I did okay. I won. I didn't win super convincingly. I didn't lose any matches, but I had a lot of really close wins. I did pretty well against Turnout and KCM. I did not do so great against Seizure Man. I had one of my draws was against Seizure Man. I didn't get to play him the second time because he went AWOL. And I always have a hard time against Scientists. I mean, I had the winning record against him. I had 3 wins, 1 draw. But it was 18 games to 11 games. All the matches were really close, except for the last one. I hate playing against Scientist. He's just so hard to play against. So, I mean, Seizure Man is gone, and he was one of the more challenging. He was one of the more challenging opponents I faced last season. But I have to play Scientist again. I have to play KCM again, and I think KCM is going to do a lot better this season than he did last season. And perhaps more problematically, I have to play against Magician, Bloom, and Bacon. Bacon I know a little bit how to play against, but Bloom and Magician are just really, really good at doing what they do, and I have a hard time adapting my spy to play against that kind of style. So potentially a rough season for me next season, I think. Scientist is really he's just deadly, man. I mean, anytime you talk about who's the best player in SpyParty, like if Scientist isn't one of the people on your list, then you're crazy. Scientist, last season, Scientist, he won all his games against people not named Crazy Kaylee, and in those wins, he averaged 1 game loss per match. So his average win was 5-1. Was 5-1 against Turnout, against Seizure Man. Well, he didn't play Seizure Man, but against Turnout and against KCM. Against KCM, it was really, really good. I think the question for Scientist this season is can he go through me? I would not have predicted that I would have beat Scientist in the season matchup, let alone that I would beat him 9-4 in the championship. Can he go through me is the big question. And we have to test him against people like Bloom and Magician. Particularly those two. He's played Bacon before, we know how that goes a little bit. But Bloom and Magician, I think, are the people that Scientist needs to worry about, in addition to whether or not he can win the matchup versus me. KCM had a really, really rough season last season. I don't think anyone would have predicted KCM to finish near the bottom. In the end, he technically finished 3rd place, but that was mostly due to Turnout and Seizure Man. Or due to Seizure Man forfeiting matches. He was only able to basically reliably beat Turnout. Against Seizure Man, he lost a match 5-0, and then technically Seizure Man forfeited the other one, which enabled KCM to finish 3rd. But KCM just really, really had a hard time last season. I don't know why. I think he was just a little bit rusty. He's been playing games at a kind of slow pace. He has to do better against me, and he has to do better against Scientist. I beat him 5-2 and 5-1, and Scientist beat him 5-1 and 5-1. And so those weren't even particularly close. He has to do better. I think he can do better, and I think he's been playing a little bit more. I think he will do better. I think we'll see old KCM back, and I think we'll see him do really well. That brings us to the new 3 to Platinum this season, or to Diamond this season. We've got Bloom. Bloom kind of impressed me as one of the players last season, along with Ferret, where I was like, wow, that's really, really good. Bloom is just ultra, ultra, ultra strong. He could not be stopped last season. He technically lost 2 games. He lost 1 to Magician, and he lost 1 to Sharper. Against Magician, he went very evenly during the regular season. 1 win, they traded wins, and then Magician really, really got blown out by Bloom in the championship, but they traded in the regular season. Sharper beating Bloom was kind of the interesting result in season 1. I don't think anyone expected Sharper to beat him. But other than that, Bloom just crushed Bacon, relatively crushed Magician because of the championship win. The traded wins with Sharper was kind of weird, and then he won and drew against Slappy. Magician, kind of similar results. He was right up there. In the end, he actually finished in first place in the regular season, but he lost in the championship match, as discussed. He went straight up wins against Sharper, win and draw against Bacon, win and draw against Slappy, traded wins and then lost the championship match to Bloom. And then we got Bacon. Bacon, I think, had a disappointing third place. I think is a disappointing result for Bacon in gold or in platinum rather last season. He dropped straight sets to Bloom, drawn a loss to Magician, did sweep Sharper, and drawn a win against Slappy. Really disappointing season for Bacon. I would have expected him to perform better. Part of the reason I was so impressed with Bloom is that he just kind of destroyed Bacon in a really kind of scary way. So those are your 6 for the top division here in Diamond. Let me talk about my predictions for that division. For my division, I should say. And yeah, perhaps who was it that said? Someone said a little while ago that they knew the game was a beta because like a 30-something guy was a top player. It's a little bit of a different game. It's a little less twitchy. But perhaps that is true. Once the game gets out of beta, it'll be nothing but 18-year-old Koreans probably. I think Scientists wins the league this season. This would have been my prediction last season. It's going to be my prediction again this season, based on my experience playing the man and how hard he is to play against. I think certainly the strongest SpyParty player in Austria goes on to be the strongest SpyParty player, period, and wins the championship this year. After that, I have Bloom. I have Bloom finishing second. Bloom scares the hell out of me. I don't want to play against Bloom. I don't want to go anywhere near Bloom. I think Bloom wins. Gets into the top 2 and then loses narrowly to Scientist. I think Scientist can adapt a little bit better than I can against this style of play, but I think Bloom goes over everybody except Scientist. I have myself finishing in third place. I think I can compete against Scientist. I think I can compete against KCM. I know I can compete against Bacon. I feel pretty good about my chances to go at least evenly with Magician. Bloom, I don't know what the hell's going on. I think I can do okay. I think I can do okay, but I don't think I'm going to do okay enough to finish in the top 2. Fourth, I have KCM. I think KCM's going to do a lot better this season. I don't think he does better enough to finish in the top 2, but I don't think he kind of has the embarrassing, mostly losses, getting kind of crushed season that he had last season. Fifth place, I have Magician. Magician's kind of the toughest one to predict right now because he could very easily go 2-0 against KCM. He could very easily go 2-0 against me. I think he'll have a very hard time against Bloom, and I think he'll have a very good hard time against Scientist. But I know he can beat KCM. I know he can beat me. I know he can beat Bacon. On any given day. In the end, I think I will have the edge, either a win or a draw. Maybe a win or a draw for myself is kind of what I'm predicting against Magician, or maybe 2 draws or something, and I do better against KCM or whatever than he does. But very easily you could switch Magician and myself, and I don't think I would be surprised. I don't think anyone would be surprised. I have Bacon finishing last.
Do you have Magician in 4th or 5th?
5th, behind KCM.
Oh.
And then last place I have Bacon, which is weird to say, but it's hell here in Diamond. It's Scientist, it's Bloom, it's just a nightmare up here. This is not a fun division to play in. It's just, oh god, I'm having stress attacks just thinking about literally I have to play Scientist and Bloom and KCM and it's just I don't want to play any of these people. They're all really hard. So that's my predictions. First place Scientist, second place Bloom, third place me, fourth KCM, fifth Magician, sixth Canadian Bacon. Go ahead, Yeesh.
All right. I have watched every Diamond replay because you guys are beasts, and I want to learn how to play like you guys.
Yeah.
So I felt like you win, Kaylee. Honestly.
He's got me repeating. All right.
Yeah.
I may disappoint you.
I would not be surprised because of the strength, and I've played these players and they're gods. They're so good. They're amazing. They just outclass me in every way. But I feel like you play so much better when you're not streaming. Like your replays, like you hit some crazy shots, like really, really good shots, and you camp everything very effectively and strong. I feel like you win. Just barely edge scientist. Scientist again is a stud. He's
you got the same.
insane.
You got the repeat of the
Two
championship.
scientists,
Huh?
yeah. It's just like he's so good, just so good. What else do I say?
He's just like he's not only good. Like at some point, I'm like I have fun when I play KCM. You know, even if I lose, I have fun when I play. I don't have fun when I play scientists. The game is not fun when you play against scientists. It just takes so much energy, and it's just so draining to play. Like because everything has to be correct on both sides. You have to be 100% focused, or you will get your ass kicked immediately. It's just so hard to play against them.
I agree. I played him as a beginner, I think. We played like 50 games on Double Modern, and I might have won one as Spy.
Yeah.
And I was
Sounds
like,
about right.
yes, one win. Let's
take it
go.
to the bank. Take it to the bank.
Yes.
Retire.
I'm
It
down.
going home
always
from
feels
Vegas
like
now.
that against top
Yes.
tier players. Top
1% win rate. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Retiring forever from
Okay,
playing scientists.
third
Yep.
place, KCM.
KCM.
KCM, I think he showed his chops against Warning Track.
So you think the big time? You
outplayed.
have the big time diamond veterans going over all three of the like.
Yeah.
I guess I call them the R7 style snipers. I don't know. There's some dispute about what that's an accurate term.
And now we've got the trio, right? Blue, Magician, and Bacon. Hard to judge. I say Magician beats.
You have Magician going over Bloom this time, all right?
Yeah. Bloom is scary to play against because I'm not a behavioralist, but I feel like Magician can do it. And I've seen some of his matches against Bloom, and he's won before too. So I think it's possible. I have Bacon on 5th and Bloom last. I do not believe Bloom will be demoted.
He will be demoted if he finishes 6th. Yeah. That's auto demotion.
I don't know. I don't know. 5th and 6th. Let's just say Bloom Bacon.
You want to switch Bloom and Bacon? Gotcha.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure. Bacon has been playing a lot, and he knows a lot of these really soft nuances, and catches people out on it, and really is strong.
I guess part of the thing you can say about this style of sniping is that it is very vulnerable to counterplay a little bit. Like if you are good at Spy and you can counterplay it, it can be counterplayed. You can deny them a lot of information that way, although they'll still get so many lowlights. You have to kind of play them super correctly and play them as behavioralists at the same time. And it's a little bit vulnerable to changes in the middle of the season. Like if suddenly things get changed, these guys lose a lot of their information about the game, then that can affect their sniper style. But they're also really good at picking back up what the new system is and so forth.
Absolutely. And Bloom is scary. I think if he plays any average player, they die to Bloom. But I feel like this is not your average player. Diamond is not average.
No,
this is insane tier. Yeah, and I feel like every player can adapt to every player, honestly. Like kind of what I was saying with like adapting to Fearful Ferret and being ready to play him. I feel like people are going to be ready to play each other. If you're not, then you're just going to lose, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you need to come in with some preparation ready and feel like, how am I going to play this player? And then already kind of have an idea of how you want to win.
Yep.
I think each player needs to do that. And I feel like each player can do the preparation necessary. But I honestly think anyone could win. Bloom could win. I really do believe that. These players are all insane. It's really hard for me to distinguish that gap of skill because I'm so far below. So I just look at them in like this heaven area, like Mount Olympus. You're all gods on Mount Olympus. You're all pretty strong. You're all pretty unique. But who would win in a brawl? You only find out in Smite and SpyParty.
That's very true. All right, Cameron.
That mountain should be...
That is my picks, but as I said, everything could go crazy.
All right, cameraman, what do you got?
First off, let me just say, Caleb, you could just demote yourself down to platinum or gold or even silver if you were playing these people.
I could totally. Oh man, that was loud.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Number one is scientist, definitely.
Number one, yep.
Scientist is just terrifying. I played one game against him, and that's all I want. Like, it just made me want
Don't
to
want to play him
curl up
ever
and cry.
again. Yep. Sad feelings.
Panopticon felt like an actual Panopticon.
Number 2, what do you got?
Bloom.
Bloom number 2.
Bloom's like just below Scientists on the scare ranking.
All right.
It's just a terrifying player to play against. 3 is I'm going to go with KCM for 3.
KCM, entirely legitimate.
I can just shake the rust off. You could be up there. 4, I'm going to go with Ukulele.
All right.
5, Bacon. 6, Magician.
Seems pretty reasonable to me, this layout. It's basically mine, but with me and KCM flipped and me and Bacon flipped. I think that's entirely legitimate. I would agree with this ranking more or less all the way down. Go ahead, Catnip. You will take us home with the last predictions of the night.
That will be interesting, by the way. Firstly, I guess if we call the Mountain of Gods, it should be called Spylympus, not Olympus. And I should probably make a introduction / excuse. Like I told that new players have different logic in the game than the old and experienced players. It seems it's similar in my votes as well, but it's more of a perhaps I have no idea what I'm talking about because I did not see them play.
Yeah,
but
it's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
But I mean, okay, I'll just go. I do not. I do not regret, and I still believe about my top picks, but for the bottom picks, I apparently know nothing. So I really believe this will be the year of the Bacon.
You think Bacon goes straight to the top?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't think we'd be too surprised. I mean, the problem is, I guess the problem the rest of us have is that Bloom and Magician beat him last season. But he could very easily get his revenge this season, I think, and he has about even results with people like me, KCM, and Scientist. So it wouldn't be too surprising for sure.
I guess I just kind of halfly have a feeling that this will be the year of the Bacon. I don't know why.
Gotcha.
Second, I have Bloom.
Yep, pretty consistent near top pick. Only Yeesh thinks he's going to finish anywhere other than second right now.
Yeah, and speaking of, being scared to play against him, well, I had a very bad day, and I played him on that day, so I actually cried after that.
It was impressed upon you how terrifying and depressing it is to play against him. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I actually cried later.
I wouldn't be surprised if I cry after I play against one. All right, what do we got? Maybe we got number 3.
In third, I have you.
Okay. I appreciate your optimism.
I think you're gonna stay on top, but not on the very, very top.
I agree with that prediction.
In very close fourth, and perhaps even equally third and fourth. So, in very close fourth behind, I think will be Magician.
Okay. Magician definitely someone I've gotten roughly even with before.
And this is where, your predictions are blowing my mind off, or what the fudge do I know?
Yeah.
In fifth, I have Scientist.
I think it's pretty. That's about as pessimistic as it gets for Scientist.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that, but
yeah.
It was 1-1, and then fuck it.
Yeah, you need to play some games against Scientist.
Yeah.
If you thought playing against
Bloom being scary.
Bloom will make you cry, but Bloom will make you cry, but Scientist will just make you want to curl up in a bathtub or something. All right, and so that leaves
when
KCM
I played
6.
against Bloom the first time, KCM.
Yeah.
When I played against Bloom the first time, it was I got 20% win rate. And I can see that he's way up there, but it's okay, I can still play him. The second time, oh my gosh.
All right, well, those are your predictions for the season. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I will upload this to YouTube so y'all can review it if you're just coming in the middle of it and don't know what our predictions were for the lower seasons. SCL starts this Sunday, or at the end of this Sunday. On Monday, we'll have our first matches, and we'll have our first cast the following weekend. Follow the SpyParty Twitter if you want, at SpyParty, if you want to see what's going on there. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all to my fellow predictors. And yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube. Check it out on that, or you can check out the VOD while it's on Twitch. And good luck in your matches, everyone. We'll see how those predictions do. Adios, everybody.